All right. Well, hello, everyone. Thank you for coming to this week's Tipple's virtual wine tasting. This is Elizabeth and Jeff Audrey, the owners of Rouge Wine here in Gainesville, Florida. And this week, we're going to be enjoying the Mas de Daumas Rouge, which is from the south of France in the region called Languedoc. And Languedoc is traditionally known for having looser restrictions than many of the other growing areas in France. So they get a little wilder, a little crazier down there. You see a tremendous variety of different grapes are grown in that region. And they make a lot of inexpensive wine down there, but they have some of the most unique microclimate, wonderful growing areas, which is one of which we're going to be drinking tonight in France. And they make some really spectacular wines down there. So if you have not already, it's time to open up our wines and pour.
And what were you saying about aerating?
Oh, so this guy is going to be one that does change quite a bit while we're drinking it. If you do have an aerator, I'd say go ahead and use it. So a little extra time open ahead of time would definitely benefit this guy as well. I'm using this new one we have. It's called a variable aerator, which is kind of fun because it aerates more or less depending on how the severity of the angle that you're using. I wonder if that could be somebody calling about this. So I'm going for more aeration rather than less tonight. There you go.
Thank you.
See all those nice bubbles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think he said it, but this is one of the ones that we have in the store. So it just pops right in the top.
Yep. This is an updated design, so it's my first time using this new design.
Oh, and I want to say thank you so much to Linda because, and I guess Paul too, but mostly Linda. We were able to do this lovely charcuterie board because of a little package that she got for us, and so because she felt badly for us that we weren't eating the whole time. Have an assortment of crackers and charcuterie, and anyway, we're very excited to be able to eat tonight while we're drinking.
Well, a little birdie told me that you might like something like that, but I also, as a dietitian, I feel like you should be eating before 9 or 10 o'clock at night. So
that is true.
Wanted you to feel well fed.
Well, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. All right, so here we have. So like I said, I put a light chill on my red and let it warm up from there as usual. We're starting around 55 degrees tonight. Great pairings for this wine. And I don't know if we want to jump over to the slide real quick.
All right. So this is going to be a little bit of a challenge for me tonight because the computer's over there. So just trying to make sure that we can see it. Oh, you don't have it pre-selected. Okay, hold on one moment. A little bit of technical difficulty here. It was just the other thing. All right.
Yeah, as long as we don't see your emails, you'll be fine.
That's right. Nothing important in my emails.
There we go.
All right. So food pairings: hearty beef stew, mutton. That was kind of fun to put in. Mushrooms, roast pork, sharp cheeses, brie, which we have.
We have both. Sharp cheese and brie.
So I'm excited. So the this red blend is dominantly Cab Sauv. So what's interesting is this is 75% or more every year. They change the blend slightly, but it's always at least 75% Cabernet Sauvignon, which I think kind of interestingly is the amount you need to be called Cabernet Sauvignon in California. So technically we're pairing cab to cab from week to week, just a different expression from over in France.
Because in France you can't call it just cab.
Right.
Okay. Right. Do you want me to stay on here?
Let's jump back.
Okay.
And we'll keep on talking about it.
All right.
So anyway, so this guy's Cab Sauv, and then they listed basically, or in 20 plus other grapes, depending on year to year, go into here. Usually Cab, and then Merlot, Malbec, and Pinot are almost always in there. But then they have Nebbiolo some years, and Dolcetto, and it up to 20 different options. Those are down, we're talking like 2% of the blend, so they're very minor.
So from year to year, it's not going to taste the same. Or are they doing it so that, okay, well, this was a better vintage of this one or this,
Right.
so,
They're going for consistency of flavor,
okay.
certainly in the styling and such.
Mhm.
So it should be very close,
Okay.
even though they have all those things. But they will throw in different, grapes in order, depending on what the ripeness happened with certain other grapes. So maybe
Okay.
if they weren't happy with that Merlot that year, they're going to bump up a little more to say Nebbiolo or something.
This
So-
does pair really well with that brie.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's really, you should try it.
I'm going to right now. You talked me into it. Everyone's going to wait while I
Yeah.
have some brie.
So is anybody else eating with the wine? Yes, I know that Julie's definitely got a charcuterie board there, I'm sure. And then, oh, look,
Oh,
Les
yeah.
has food too.
Chocolate.
Mm.
Yeah, we made a beef and bacon stew.
Oh, fantastic.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
We took Jake's recommendation and braised some short ribs with polenta.
Oh.
Ooh, that sounds good.
That sounds really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the notable styling points for this wine is that it is very fruit forward for an old world wine, which to me is one of the other things I like because it makes it really compatible with the American palate because we do enjoy fruit forward wines.
I wouldn't have guessed it was Old World actually if I were
Mhm.
just drinking it because it's so fruit forward. I would have guessed California.
Totally go there with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Some nice tannins. It's not as tannic as last week's wine, not as aggressive. That would be part of that is that it's actually cooler growth than where those are from. But and plus it's simply not as much of the French style to have something as all that aggressive. They wouldn't want it to be that way because they really want food pairings. They don't want it overwhelming the food.
So because this does taste more along the palate spectrum of New World,
Mhm.
how is it received in France?
I don't know, but I know internationally it's well
Okay.
received. So, because I mean, once we looked at it, I guess I didn't re-mention the scores, but this is 94.1.
Oh, right.
I mean, this guy's
Sure.
got racks up 92 and better all the time. So I would think that they'd probably say, "Oh, this one's fruit forward," but I think it's well received internationally. That's a good question, though. So they barrel aged this guy for at least a year, up to 15 months. It's a really spicy wine,
Mhm.
but it is not a vanilla-y wine.
Yeah.
So we're talking fairly neutral oak. And in fact, they use barrels that average 7 to 8 years in age. So they've been used with time to get the blacks. So they do use some older oak barrels in order to make it. It adds a spiciness, but it does not take it over with a lot of vanilla. Alcohol content on this is about 13%. So we have a kind of a, modest level. It's not low, but certainly on the lower end of normal for a red wine. But that makes a lot of sense actually in the French styling as well. And it makes sense because this is a cool microclimate, and the cooler and the slower ripening the grapes, the less sugar, and then you're going to have less alcohol.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I was saying like Valley Floor when we were drinking last week, we had a combination of the mountainside grapes and the Valley Floor. The Valley Floor grapes are going to be riper and they're going to provide a lot more sugar, therefore a lot more alcohol, and that was a higher alcohol wine.
Yeah, what was last week?
The Decoy Limited.
No,
Cabernet
I
Sauvignon?
meant the ABV.
Oh, that one 14 and a half, if I
Okay.
remember correctly. Yeah. So winemaker notes, as far as talking about what we're experiencing, juicy, so fruit forward, velvety tannins, which I would totally get behind. They're certainly very present, but these are nice and velvety.
Yeah, I'm not getting a big tannic feel at all. I mean, maybe it's just me. It's probably just me.
It's the brie.
Oh, it's the brie.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's having to work.
that's really
I
interesting.
noticed it really fell off when I mean, the flavor pairing is fantastic,
Mhm.
but the brie is very creamy. And
Okay.
so after a few sips, you'll get it back.
Huh.
Mhm.
Yeah, that makes sense. I didn't even think, because normally when we are drinking, we were just drinking.
Right.
when we're doing a tasting. So
Sure.
true. I didn't think about the interaction of the two
Right.
on your palate. We all have to wait because Jeff's the speaker. So when he's
I know.
eating, it's
Complications.
Linda's fault.
I know. Oh, that is good.
We'll fill in the void. So we were saying like it's really dark, but for how like light the flavor is, like
Mhm.
it's just like not as fruit forward and everything. Like as fruit, I shouldn't say it is fruit forward, not fruit heavy, like not sweet or.
Right.
And so when you look at how dark it is, I was just expecting something heavier, and it's really nice and light.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a very drinkable red. Like even people that aren't, so people that don't want something big.
Right.
And yes, yeah, I mean, that's at least my
Yeah,
impression.
I agree. It's got a lot of character.
Mhm.
It's delicious. And it has enough structure, but it is medium bodied. It's not a heavy bodied wine. You know, like if we went back to say the Ballbuster Red Blend by Tate, that was a beast of a wine. That was just incredibly heavy and big and a lot of fun, but a very different experience. And this, when you look at this beautiful color, there's obviously a lot of intensity in this wine, but it's not in the body. It's not a heavily bodied wine. It's medium bodied.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But I think it's a really easy drinking red. I mean, I feel like you could give it as a gift to anybody, and it wouldn't overwhelm even somebody who's not normally
Right.
a wine drinker.
Yeah, it's just it's one of those that's really easy to like, even though it has a lot of great quality to it. And you know, I do like that for something that is so easy to enjoy. So much, it gives so much, you know, just right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
That it's still getting high ratings, you know, because it does have that complexity and interest in it. And I'm also glad that, you know, it wasn't just food for that reason. It's like,
Right.
oh, wow.
It's not big and attacking you.
Mhm.
So what would it taste like if we had not aerated?
Well, it would be a little more linear with the, you know how we're getting a lot, you wouldn't have the spice, that rich
Okay.
spiciness that we're getting right now. We would have to wait for that to evolve. Then the tannins would not have that, they've kind of rounded, because even at the beginning, they were a little more needly,
Mm-hmm.
and they've rounded out to be a little more kind of a luxurious velvet kind of effect.
I have them back now.
Yeah, and they're back. All right. A nice minerality as well. I'd say has a bit of a, to me, it reminds me of when we were drinking, that was the one with all the clay. Anyway, it takes me back to, there was actually a bit, oh, I know, the Tate's sister wine,
Mm-hmm.
the Wild Ride.
Okay.
That Grenache, that area had a bunch of clay. Remember, they had like good clay and bad clay in that area of Australia. Obviously, they were growing in the good clay, and it had a little bit of that clayishness that you can get through. And I think I get a little bit of that now that it's had some time to open up as well. It's certainly below the spiciness. It's more hinting at it, you know. It just, but it does have a nice minerality, and that is one of the reasons they chose to grow in this area.
Yeah, it's definitely below the spiciness.
Mm-hmm.
Now that you've pointed it out, I can taste the minerality, but I wouldn't have said I tasted more
Yeah.
without you pointing it out.
Let's jump over and take a look at where this wonderful wine comes from.
Okay.
All right, so here we have all of our wine growing regions in France. And this week we are down in the south of France in the Languedoc Rouge area. And specifically, we're actually right about here. Most of the Languedoc is known for Syrah, Carignan, and Grenache and that kind of thing, which is, those are the same grapes that we had when we were over in the Southern Rhone with that Iguigal. So actually, what we're drinking tonight is unusual even within the Languedoc. Cabernet Sauvignon is not one of the common grapes, and it's grown there on this specific land because the land is so perfect for it. So here's a little close up as we go in. So
it's the land that makes it good for the cab grapes. Whereas if the land weren't, I don't know, as clayey as it is or whatever, because of the weather patterns and everything, you wouldn't see cab grow there.
That's right. A lot of times, and this happens to be a cool micro.
They froze.
Instead of cab.
Oh, that's it's Grenache,
Okay.
Syrah,
Okay.
Mourvedre, Carignan.
Okay.
So once again, so within the Languedoc, we are actually right about here. See, and that is the actual vineyard itself. This is estate grown and vinted. These guys are not purchasing their grapes. This is their actual land. So yeah, it's just terraced and moving up into, it's not just hilly, it's more than that as it gets up into little small mountains. And this is a microclimate. It's a cool, excellent drainage and great minerality, oxides of iron, copper, and gold, but without fertility to the soil.
Okay.
So all of these hills are basically mounds created by glaciers. So this is all broken up rock piled up into mounds.
Okay.
It is not so much earth.
Because if we have really black fertile soil, then that means that our grapes don't struggle.
That's right. They must struggle
Mm-hmm.
to provide character.
Oh, provides grit. It's good for people too.
That's right. Let me jump back over here. So
Jump to the slide or
let's
out of the slide.
let's jump out of the slide. I'll talk a little bit about Languedoc.
Okay.
So I talked a little bit about Languedoc on the way in, their history, and still right now a lot of consistent production of cheaper wines in different areas, but not cab. They're known for the red blends. They do a lot of white blends as well for the Languedoc, but their number one production are those red blends that kind of mimic Southern Rhone red blends. And actually, I covered all those guys. Actually, I guess we should get right into the wine.
Okay.
All right. So,
All right.
what was so special about this place? So it was purchased in 1970.
I mean, the 70s are pretty special. So that's when we're from.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they bought it in 70, and then they really got started in 71 with moving toward winemaking.
Oh, your year.
My year.
Your
So,
year.
it was by a couple that were buying. They bought it. It's very large. It's 4,000 acres.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was a fallow farm. When they found it, they just decided they wanted this because it was so beautiful. They were not interested in making wines at the time. They just wanted this beautiful land. The Guibert family, I hope I said that right. But they were good friends with a geologist from Bordeaux University who specialized in helping Bordeaux winemakers find great places to plant Cab Sauv. So Henri and Jalbert visited the estate, and with the climate and the rocks and the terroir as a whole, he said, "This is what you're going to do. You're going to grow some incredible Cabernet Sauvignon down here." And that's how it all started. They actually they weren't sure what they were going to do with it.
That's interesting that they just happened to be friends with the geologist that came there and was like, "Oh, you guys are nuts if you don't grow wine."
Right, exactly. You need to grow wine and you need to grow Cabernet Sauvignon.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting, because it was a fallow farm and it had been there for hundreds of years, but it had not ever been modernly farmed. This land has never seen a pesticide or a manufactured fertilizer ever.
Wow.
So when they became organic and all that, it was like, okay, no problem. It literally has never touched
Because
the
it had
ground.
never been there.
Yeah,
That's
they didn't have to get rid of it at all.
Wow. So do they do the same thing that our organic farmers do, where they use other bugs like ladybugs and stuff to control their pests?
They can. I mean, a lot of people, I don't know.
Or I'm just wondering if they just don't have the pests that, living in Florida, we're used to a lot of bugs.
Oh, yeah. There's certainly less.
Okay.
I mean, everywhere I've gone to that's, a little more arid like that, the insect population is I mean, Jerry could definitely speak to it, but
Yeah, that's true. We should ask him.
we do have an entomologist.
What do we need to know
Elizabeth was asking,
I'm going to jump out of here.
okay,
about the bugs?
she was asking if the native bug population would be less in almost all of these more arid areas.
There's bugs that fit every climate type, unfortunately.
Okay.
Everything from desert bugs to mosquitoes that breed in snow pools. So unfortunately,
So when you're going to the more arid climates, they're still dealing with the bugs that are going to attack their grapevines. It's just different bugs that they're dealing with.
different bugs in different periods of time, probably due to the climate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense.
There you go.
Thank you.
So yeah, and they, like I said, I've heard of a lot of different farming techniques to deal with that. When they, you know, from planting plants that the bugs don't like to bringing in ladybugs to all types of things.
Okay. Oh, what's the one
I
that
don't know
we
specifically
talked
what
about
they're
a couple weeks ago that it had, they run the ducks through them.
Oh yeah, it's in South Africa.
I love that.
Yeah, they let the ducks go eat them all,
Yeah.
run through. So
You ready for me to
so anyway,
share again?
yeah, go ahead and
Okay.
share it. So once again, completely beautiful land and pristine, and everything is hand harvested and hand tended to this day. So, and then here it is, Mastagasak. You can see it looks like a farmstead, just a really big one.
It does, but there's something, I don't, it's the white walls or what, but there's something French about the way the farmstead looks. It doesn't look like an American farmstead.
And then here's a shot on the property. So, and you can see everything looks so terraced that, you know, it's not, almost not surprising for me to see a waterfall there, but just a beautiful place. Here's their cooperage room.
That's very cool.
Right?
Yeah.
So here we jump down to our points discussion. So this guy, 92, 94 points, outstanding wine of superior character. I mean, they have it even up at the top of outstanding. Interesting marks on that.
Mm-hmm.
What are you guys thinking?
It's a good rating.
I love it.
I love this wine.
I was motioning to Robin because she was telling to me she thinks that this is the best wine that we've had.
Oh, wow.
I love this wine.
Which, you know, it makes sense. You know, this is like kind of an end of the year, you know, we're kind of bumping everything up, but it is so smooth, and flavorful, and it really just kind of, I think it checks all those boxes of like, yeah, it is fruit forward, but without being like you're eating candy or something like that.
I hope that when Jake watches this in the store and hears that, he feels vindicated for his last suggestion, which Chris was like, I don't know if I like this.
The redemption of Jake.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Well, yeah, because Jake, this is one of Jake's favorite wines in the store for sure.
It's excellent.
Yeah. He said,
if
you don't love this wine, then I don't want to talk to you. But I think you make a good point. It's yeah, it is fruit forward, but it's one of those where it's medium bodied. It has nice velvety tannins. It's not this aggressive jumping, you know, all over your palate wine. It can accentuate a meal and yet be enjoyed on its own. It's kind of got everything going for it without having to go over the top and be huge, you know, which I kind of like that. It's you know, it's I would say, I don't know if restrained is even the right word for it, but it's balanced.
Yeah. Focus.
The only bad thing about this wine is it doesn't stay in the bottle too long. It's a drink.
My first glass went down really fast. Too fast.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying there must be a hole in your bottle.
More than one.
Okay, you were all frozen for a moment, so I'm thinking it was us.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is you guys, I think.
Okay, all right. So just for a moment, everybody was frozen. So other comments, likes, dislikes?
So what are you thinking on like ratings wise? I'd say every bit of I'd go 92. I can see with the right pairing and a beautiful sunset where you're even going to go up to 94, I do think it is an exceptionally good wine.
I'd say 92. Yeah.
Yeah.
92.
I'll drink to that.
So Jerry and I did not aerate our first glass.
Mhm.
And I will say this much, it tasted very different from the second glass, but I liked them both.
Ah,
So the
Great.
one thing I noticed was the unaerated glass, the first time I smelled it and just put it in my mouth and held it there, it was jam on. I mean,
Right.
very jammy.
okay.
I can see that. Yeah,
So jam as in fruit or jam as in fruit sweet?
Fruit, no, it wasn't sweet, but just fruit, like deep
Fruit.
dark fruit, cherry, plum, like really deep.
Okay.
right. I can see that. Yeah, that would be the dominant thing that would come out until it has some breath, to
Yeah.
express and get that balance.
Hey,
This
Jim.
even change as we're doing.
Hey, Jim.
Yeah.
So when you rate a wine, is there like 3 or 4 or 5 things that you check off?
That's a great question.
Yeah, it is a good question. My number one, my first priority in it is, am I enjoying this wine? Period. Just the simple down to, is this wine making me happy? Then I delve into a bit more of, okay, where is it from? What varietals are there in the wine? And how well are they expressed? Then I go into, all right, if it's something I'm enjoying and it's well made and clearly good quality grapes, is it then something interesting that is intriguing in some way that keeps me wanting to come back to it? So those are probably the top 3 thoughts in my head as I go down through it, my checklist. And so for something to then jump up to say, because if I'm really, if it's a wine I'm enjoying and it's technically well made, I'm probably going to be feeling a good 88 to 90 points right there anyway. But then you have something to say, oh, well, this actually is not like something that there aren't 16 of these in the market that I can go buy. This has got something more interesting going on with it. Then that gives me that additional desire to kind of bump it up a bit more and say, okay, because there is more to enjoy because it is more unique, if that makes sense.
And what's the wow factor?
Yeah, well, actually, that's a good point. Yeah, the uniqueness in there, it's a wow factor. Is there something more to it that draws me back?
So
I'm going to play the devil's advocate and ask the question of like, if this isn't my favorite, I love it, it's delicious. I would definitely take it to like, hey, we're going to a dinner party. We don't necessarily know what they're serving. We don't know if people like red or white, but I prefer red, so I'm going to bring a red. But I feel like people that like white would like it too. It doesn't have that heavy tannin flavor, as opposed to like a juggernaut that I would also consider a people pleaser. But they would have to like reds. So what is the main difference? I don't know like how to describe, I guess, the main 2 differences of like, juggernaut's a really nice red. It's a totally different grape. I get that. But like, how do you describe those 2 differences of like, this is people pleasing and juggernaut's like a red person, but why?
I'd say it's probably about the aggression, the aggressiveness level on Juggernaut, for example, is because it's a more aggressive version of Cabernet Sauvignon. And so you can actually kind of put these up against each other because this guy is almost all Cab also. And, but Juggernaut is made to be aggressive. I mean, it's all hillside grown grapes. There's no valley floor grapes in that. It's made to be aggressive for the price, for those people that really enjoy that style. But for some people, it's too much.
Yeah, I would say it's definitely too much. Like if people like whites, they're not going to like Juggernaut. And
aggressive.
So for me, I guess then I like an aggressive Cab over a people pleasing Cab.
And that's not uncommon. A lot of people do like those. I mean, Silver Oak is an aggressive Cab. It is. Silver Oak will grab onto your tongue and act like it's want to fight you, not going down your throat when it's young. And I love every minute of it. I think it's fantastic. But you're right. This one sits there where Cab drinkers are happy. Pinot Noir drinkers are happy. It's got a little bit of a nice plummy quality to it too. So Merlot drinkers will be happy, and Malbec drinkers.
Well, and like she said, white wine drinkers would still be happy with it, I feel like too, because it isn't aggressive and attacking you.
And it doesn't make you pucker. Like
It doesn't make you pucker.
Right.
That's why I kept saying, well, I think it's easy drinking. So for me, I'm with you, Julie. I like the more aggressive, the better for me. But I think this is a great wine.
Right.
Yeah,
I
I'm
just
thinking
yeah.
the opposite. I mean,
Our tastes are so different.
I'm sure.
The first couple sips, I sipped this, I said, wow, this is so drinkable and so nice. And she's like, I kind of want something that's heavier, but everyone's a little bit different, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. And that's the thing. There's a spectrum of wine buyers for a reason. And there's a wine out there for everybody.
Right. Yeah. I do think it's, what?
Even though it's not my favorite, that doesn't mean I don't love it. Like I think that's a difference too of like a beer difference. Like sometimes I drink a beer and I either am gonna drink it or I'm like, push it away. I got you this really piney IPA. You know, like it's not it's not like that. It's like I still love this, but it wouldn't be if I was picking a bottle of wine for me, I would do the heavier, the juggernaut, the more aggressive. But if I was going to a party and I don't know what people there prefer, this would definitely be a bigger go-to. Like, I'm not going to take Juggernaut to a party and people be like, whoa, what are you doing? If I don't know they're like big red wine drinkers.
Yeah, I think I'm with Julie on that one because as I'm drinking this, I'm like, this would be a good intro to wine. If you weren't a wine drinker, this is what I would serve you.
So quality, like intro.
Right.
Yeah, super quality.
Yeah, I think it's still complex and it's a really good wine without being a challenge to your palate.
Right. Yep.
Out of curiosity, did anyone not aerate their wine?
Yeah, I didn't aerate mine.
Okay.
Not at first, we did after.
Okay.
Yeah, same with us.
We haven't aerated ours. We opened it at like 7 and put it in the fridge, but I guess
we did the same thing.
Try it with the aerator and see if it makes a difference.
I don't think it
Well, I noticed a difference, Robin.
Okay.
I did.
You said you noticed a difference, Harriet, but you liked both, right?
I did. We did the same thing you guys did. We opened it at 7 and put it in the refrigerator.
Well, the aeration just speeds up the process.
Yeah, but it also changed it. It made it creamier. I mean, it opened it up.
Well,
it was
yeah.
big time.
Well,
and the tannins were more prominent
Yeah,
too.
That's what it's for.
So when you say it made it creamier, are you saying like the tannins went from being sharper needles to being more velvety, or?
Yeah, but they were also more prominent too for
Really?
me.
That's interesting. So after aerating, you could taste them more. I'm not trying to take over your thing.
No, you.
Sorry.
I'm glad you're
Feel them more.
Yes.
Yes. I did not use the right terminology, evidently.
I don't even have to say it. You just.
I was like, la, 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 say that.
I'm still drinking it too fast, no matter what. So.
Well, and you know, one of the things I like about this, which actually we haven't discussed yet, is acidity. So the tartness level. It has a very fresh fruit level of tartness. This is not a dried fruity wine.
Yeah, no, I don't.
You know, there are wines that can taste a little bit like fig Newtony or dried cherries, that kind of a thing. I could grab one or two off the shelf, and that's not a bad thing. But this guy to me is not that. It is a very fresh berry, so it does have a nice level of acidity. But then again, you can go beyond that to where, let's go with say a Spanish Rioja, which is Tempranillo, often is very acidic for red. And so then you have that bright red cherry, which this is more the fruit than that. And that can almost be a challenging amount of acidity for some drinkers. And once again, so it's me bringing up a point of another thing in which this is just a balanced wine. This guy is just across the board. Acidity, tannins, intensity of fruit, spicy, you know, so the oak aspect balanced as well. I mean, that's just really well-made wine. Yeah.
So I'm going to go back to Dr. Fricker's question a moment. When you're evaluating you never mentioned color. So that's not one of the things that you're looking at.
No.
No.
No, I mean, the color's great, and I love it when it's a nice dark color, but I don't ever want to be fooled by it.
Okay. Because I was just thinking, diamonds. That's one of the things you look at.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I'm ignoring the cut as well.
Yeah.
In inclusion.
Right.
So anyway, the big reason I tend to do that is Italian wines. Italian wines will fool you because they'll have wine that you can see right through, like a Pinot. And if it's a Barolo, it's going to just grab you and stomp on your palate with its incredible power.
So
and
you
tannins.
look at it and you'll go, oh, it's going to be mild or whatever, and then you drink it and you're surprised.
So I've been surprised enough times that I just throw that out as I don't presuppose anything from it.
Okay.
The only thing I may look at color for me, other than just enjoyment like that, is beautiful. And I agree, it's a beautiful, beautiful color. So it does give me enjoyment, but it would not either. I mean, unless it looked odd, if it was.
It's green.
If it was green, if it was brown but young, that would be weird. But an aged wine will begin to get kind of a rust color on the red around it. So you'll get kind of right on the very edge. You can get an orangey, and then you get almost like a rust color right as the separation on the edge of there when you take a look. So I might look at the color with an aged wine to just see what's gone on with it.
Okay.
Like I had a 2013 today with Allison. We were tasting wine professionally, and
he's just drinking with another woman. It's fine.
and it had a little bit of that around it too. I actually had a corked wine too. It was a shame. It was really high end.
You need to explain what that means.
An infection. There was an infection from the cork that got into the wine. This was a beautiful. Well, I think it's supposed to be beautiful. It was not. But there was it was a single vineyard Amarone, and Amarone. People ask me. We've had this discussion. What's your favorite style of wine in the world? And I say, well, it's hard to argue with the Napa Cab, but if I were to say something else, it's Amarone. And I was so excited about this wine. And then it smelled like cat pee and eucalyptus.
Oh, no. Eucalyptus isn't a bad thing. We've had wines.
No, it can have it, but this wasn't supposed to have it.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
It was a real cork? Real cork?
It was real cork, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was real
That
cork.
happened with what was the aged wine that we got? We had to get the special opener for.
That was the Creole.
Yeah. So I think I bought 5 or 6. And because my sister-in-law wanted one too, and she was like, Julie, this is disgusting. Like it tastes like vinegar, blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh no, because I bought a lot of bottles. So I opened one and I was like, you are crazy. This is amazing. And so she literally came over and she goes, this is not the same wine I drink. I was like,
bottle.
It is, but her quart, it had gone bad. And so we gave her one of our other bottles, but
you're the one who bought it all and we couldn't get any.
Yes, I'm not even sorry. It was so
we never got to
taken
try
a
it.
case home, so because I was like, this is so good.
I know you guys have been talking about this and we never got to try it. So
I
know
what you're talking about.
It didn't come.
It didn't come.
No, they said it was coming.
Is it not down the aisle? I thought I saw it right there.
No, there's not.
No, there's not. Okay.
We tried a few weeks ago and it's gone.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I think we drank all of ours.
It is what it is.
It was really good.
So
I'm sorry, but we'll try and get more in it. So.
Well, it's gone.
It's gone.
Yes, like no more of it exists.
I've been bugging them for weeks. We're a really good customer of that distributor. If they could find it, they would bring it to us. So
Okay.
it is. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It was a beautiful, beautiful thing.
It's too bad.
So that was one of the things I was thinking, like New Year's Eve is so different this year. Like not going to go downtown, not going to throw a big party, thinking like, how do we make New Year's Eve special? That was one of the wines I thought of. I think Jeff and Elizabeth are frozen again. Is that just for me?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
They are
But Jeff looks very wise.
Yeah, get a picture of that.
So I guess I should save my question of like, what's everybody gonna drink for New Year's Eve? Like, if we're all doing New Year's Eve at home, what's it gonna look like?
Jeff and Elizabeth are kind of stuck and frozen in time.
They are frozen in time.
The screen's blank for me.
Yeah.
Oh,
we don't even get to
kick
see
them
them.
out. The recording ought to be fun for them. I do this.
You're hosting now, Julie. We've got so many questions.
Kick Jeff and Elizabeth out. Oh, sorry, Jeff.
Take this wine BOGO. Now that
No
You guys
problem.
missed it. It temporarily
Oh, no,
made me the hostess. It was very
Yeah.
scary.
We'll make it BOGO, but we're gonna jack up the price
I was
on
going
the
to say,
first
it's
one.
not a problem. $90 you get two. It's shocking.
Okay, so the question you missed, Jeff and Elizabeth, is like, what, with 2020 being what it is, and we're not going downtown or having a big party or anything like that for New Year's Eve, if like the Creole was kind of my first thought of like, I'm gonna, I love champagne, but I can drink a lot of champagne. So no shame. But if I want like a special bottle of wine for New Year's Eve, something like the Creole or something like that, what would you guys suggest from the store of like, hey, we want to be at home, but we want it to be special, and we drink champagne for a lot of other occasions, but when have I spent New Year's Eve at home not doing anything? So like, what's gonna like make it special?
Like another sparkling or an alternative to sparkling?
An alternative. I mean, I love champagne. I drink champagne all the time, like girls' nights, that kind of stuff. Whereas like a good red wine, we do that like on my birthday maybe. Like okay. I don't just go buy a good red wine to celebrate. But so I was thinking that might be fun.
Just a reminder that the Creole is normally an $80 bottle of wine, right? And we were selling it for $55.
Right, because we got a deal.
Because we got a fantastic deal. So you're talking about another $80 level. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what would you say for that?
Well, I've got some really amazing Zins coming in that they're normally I can't get them. They are prioritized. Well, first of all, you have to serve wine in your store to even buy these wines.
Okay.
And then secondarily, they're reserved instead of for like a wine bar situation like us, more for restaurants. So normally I can't even get these wines, but let's take the positives from this year that we can get, right? And I can get some of those in. I can't say it, so it would be on social media. We'll just talk about it.
Okay.
But anyway,
so wait, I have to turn it off. Do we have to say goodbye in order to?
Yeah, we'll just talk about it. Anyway, I have some amazing Zins coming in.
We'll finish the rest of this after the recording is done.
Oh, I know the other thing too. I'm going to be bringing in not the single vineyard Amarone that I drank this morning, but another one that I already love that we drank on our 22nd anniversary.
So last year?
21st anniversary. That was the Bosan vineyard from Chipsade.
So by last year we mean 2020. So our anniversary was like, hey, happy anniversary, because it was April and we were quarantined. So yeah, there was nothing. Right. Okay, so what are you bringing in?
Well, that's the Bosan Amarone.
Okay.
So no, so good. But I love Amarone. Anyway, yeah, I have options. We can go through them. I mean, I know for you, I want to get you something that's kind of aggressive and big. And like for you, I would not say, oh, well, let's go down to the Domaine Serene Pinot Noir, because as amazing as that wine is, that's not going to be your bag. But,
so I think it kind of depends too on what your preference is, because you're going to like something really aggressive. Brian is not. So we get you a bottle of wine and Brian some beer.
I was gonna say, but Brian's preference would be beer anyway, and we don't have to be drinking the same thing at midnight.
Sure,
right.
Sure.
Get him fun beers and me fun aggressive wine. I'll drink the whole bottle over a very long progression.
Yeah.
But
well, I could sell you some Peter Michael, and then you'll just never want to drink anything else ever again in your life. So.
Ooh.
Well, I will say
the cake bread cab.
Mm-hmm.
Dirty dishes in here.
Maybe that's my go-to. I've never.
Eight Red Tag, fantastic wine. It's really good.
Julie, I will make the
Chick-fil-A.
sacrifice and I will drink with you.
Yes.
And Paul will drink with Brian. The beer.
It's a date.
All right, let's
Wait, Harriet was
All right.
saying something first.
No, I was just gonna say the Domaine Serene. Have you ever tried any, Julie?
No.
Do we have
Archery
one?
Summit.
You try it. It's a Pinot Noir you will never know is a Pinot Noir.
Domaine Serene.
Yes.
All right,
yeah.
writing that down.
They are not inexpensive, but they are
Fantastic.
right.
We only change years once a year.
It's
Yeah.
Oregonian, but the
Normally
production
we're-
level.
Yeah. By the end of a day of tasting those wines, your teeth are blue and you don't know one from the other, but they're all good.
Thank you. That was so sweet. Thank you. All right, got my shopping list started for New Year's
all right.
Eve.
There you go.
Yeah.
We also got a ping pong table, so it'll be us and ping pong and wine.
How do you spell that last wine you were talking about?
The Pinot Serene. They said it's a Pinot.
Domain.
Domaine.
Domain Serene.
That's why.
D-O-M-A-I-N. Yeah, D-O-M-A-I-N-E.
E.
Serene, S-E-R-E-N-E.
Hey, what's the last thing you heard?
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Jeff's got the bottles right there near him. He can tell you what it is.
Yeah, show us the Domaine Serene. Show us
Okay.
the bottle, so we know what we're looking for. I will say I had a tiny heartbreak when I walked in, Linda, this week, that wine you've been posting about. And I was like, I want that wine that Linda's been posting about that they've been drinking. And he goes, oh yeah, it's white. And I was like, Linda.
No,
He
it's
did the label. The label.
no.
Oh, yes.
I will say that I am a lover of whites. Okay, so all disclosures, I love Sauvignon Blancs, but since starting this whole journey 3 months ago with the virtual wine tastings, I have become a red drinker. So I am
All right.
discovering
I'll cheers
my
to that.
Spanish roots. I'm Hispanic, so I will say that I would probably say that the Tempranillo is like my favorite grape. I feel like it's super balanced for me personally. But I like strong coffee. I like strong flavors. So I posted it twice on the challenge, but it is the first time I had it. I told Paul, I said, oh my God, like I love this wine. It is amazing.
Yeah.
So for me, I said, I'm going to have it again. I'm going to buy it again. I feel a little like, I don't want to say alcoholic, but but I went the next day and said, we had this wine together, so I'm going to buy another bottle. And I needed to drink it for the Florida LSU game because, oh my God, I should have gotten more.
Yeah.
But it helped like soften the blow a little bit, but yeah, like personally, I thought it was well balanced. I enjoyed it. I didn't feel like it was too acidic, but that's just me.
Yeah, we're excited. We bought a bottle. We haven't opened it yet, but per your recommendation, we bought a bottle. So it's sitting in our house right now. I know, we're excited. Where I was like, I love a good recommendation because I feel like I keep going to Tipple's and buying my favorite. I am so guilty of that.
No, and Jake totally recommended it to me, and I said, I want this grape, but I don't see very many. And he said, I would recommend this one. And I said, okay, and so I went in with zero expectations. And I was like, from the moment I opened it and I said, the journey has begun. And I was like, this is good.
That's awesome.
So on night one, on Friday, but no, I really enjoyed it. And I thought it was an incredible price point, so I don't know, for me it worked, but that's just for me.
Well,
Yeah.
I have a great suggestion for a special red wine for you, Linda, since you like Tempranillo so much. I have a wine that will blow your mind.
Okay, because I developed like a wish list of wines, and I told Paul, I said I've created an album on my phone. So I was like, the next time I go in, I'm gonna ask them what they have. You know, but yes, give me a recommendation any day.
Actually, I have two that I'm thinking of, but yeah, one of them, like the Rejon, is unbelievable. So good. Oh my god.
Is it a Spanish wine?
It's a Spanish Tempranillo. The Juan Hill group owns it.
Oh, Juan Hill was fantastic.
The Juan Hill had that red blend that we all enjoyed. Oh, wow. Anyway, Dave, you had your hand up. What were you going to ask me?
I think you
muted.
Okay, there you go. Online. That was all. We were like, "Hey, you're back."
Oh, good. Okay, great. Well, let's jump over and finish up the part that's being recorded.
What?
It's actually the New Year's Eve drinking with Brian and Paul that I was volunteering for.
Oh, there you go.
If we invited people over, would you come?
Yeah.
We feel like we don't know what to do.
I agree.
Let's jump over. We'll talk about next week's
Jeff
wine,
wants
then we
to
can stop
finish
recording.
up the recording, so we're going to go ahead and show you. Here we go.
All right.
Oops. Going back.
No. Other way.
Other way.
There we go. All right. So next week's wine, back to Italy, back to Veneto, which this is the same region where we drank the white Pasqua, the Suave. So this is the Gemma from Cesare, which is a Corvina is the grape. That is the dominant grape used in Amarone.
Right.
So, but this is not a dried raisinated process. This is the Corvina grape, fermented dry, treated kind of almost like a Cabernet Sauvignon, but expressing its own style. And it is absolutely hearty and spicy and fun and unusual and delicious. So
I've looked at the box forever and I haven't had it at all. So I'm excited.
no, this is a fantastic wine. It's powerful, but it's great. It's just, I think you guys are going to love this wine. It's really kind of unusual and fun, and it's kind of what, which is one of the things I love to do. Finding 100% Corvina wine out there. In fact, I've never seen another one. So
donkey meat stew.
Oh yeah. By the way, literally that is what was listed on there. So pairings: braised beef, pot roast, Boston butt, hearty red meat dishes like donkey meat stew. So
all right.
I think I'm gonna have to go online to find that meat.
Yeah, I don't think we have donkey meat in town, but we could do.
I have goat. Maybe I'll make goat stew.
Armadillo, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Armadillo for sure.
Oh my God,
You know
that's
you're in
disgusting.
Florida when.
Exactly.
Does donkey meat even have its own name? Like cow is beef and pig is pork. Like what do you call
I think so, because they just listed donkey meat stew. I'm assuming that must be because it's called donkey meat. It's like, I guess goat's called goat.
I don't know. Chicken is chicken. So.
And on those questions, let's. I hope you guys all join us next week. You're gonna love the wine. It's fantastic. That's one of my favorites in the store. Thank you for coming. We'll stop the recording and keep on talking.
All right.
Cheers.
Anja.